Hello everyone, I'm Marina Melanidis, and the case study I will be explaining concerns the Enbridge Northern Gateway Pipeline, or more specifically the Northern Gateway Pipeline and Tanker proposal. In a nutshell, Calgary-based Enbridge Inc. wants to build a pipeline that will transport 525,000 barrels of heavy oil, or bitumen, per day from Edmonton to Kitimat, BC, where it will then be loaded onto oil tankers and shipped to Asia to sell. So what are the issues with this proposal? Well, firstly, there are many environmental concerns, such as the preservation of wildlife. The route the pipeline is planning to take will cross through many natural habitats of endangered species. Salmon streams are one example. Another is the extremely endangered Nishaka white sturgeon, who live in the Stewart and Endako rivers, both of which the pipeline is planned to cross. And then, of course, there are the endangered humpback whales that live in the Pacific Ocean. The tankers will ship the oil from the pipeline to Asia, and they will be crossing right through their habitat. And of course, habitat fragmentation is something that needs to be considered. The pipeline will be disrupting 1,177 kilometers of natural land. The majority of it will be about 1 meter underground, but this does not take away from the destruction that will be necessary for the pipeline to be built. This destruction could endanger many species. The chief environmental concern, however, is the danger of oil spills. Enbridge has a rather poor record concerning environmental safety, and they have been faced with oil spills far too often in the past to be comfortable. In 2010, for example, they had an oil spill crisis in Michigan. 20,000 barrels of oil was spilt, and it cost $800 million to clean up. This risk becomes even more hazardous when you consider the fact that bitumen, the oil that Enbridge wants to transfer, is a heavy oil, and it sinks in water. So if an oil spill were to occur in one of BC's many rivers or in the Pacific Ocean, the oil would sink to the bottom of the sea, making a cleanup response much more complicated. There are other issues surrounding this proposal too, one category being economical. According to the BC government, the money that we are being offered does not compensate for the environmental risks we would be taking. The Premier, Christy Clark, has announced that BC wants a fair share of economic benefits before it can agree to the proposal. In fact, BC has only been offered 8% of the pipeline revenue, despite taking 100% of the environmental risk. The last major category of issues involved with this proposal are the Aboriginal issues. If the pipeline were to be approved, it would cut through traditional Aboriginal territories, land that over 100 First Nation bands have banned tar sands, pipelines, and tankers from ever entering. Enbridge has offered Aboriginal bands 10% of the pipeline ownership in order to sway them. Many are still against the project due to the extreme environmental destruction it could cause. So those are the issues with the Northern Gateway Pipeline. But who are the stakeholders? The many stakeholders involved with this project can fit into three groups, the first being those that are in favor of the pipeline project. This group consists of the Government of Alberta and their Premier, Alison Redford, Enbridge Incorporated and the Federal Government of Canada. All three of these stakeholders would receive major economic benefits from the Northern Gateway Pipeline, and they want to see it become a reality. The second group includes those that are against the pipeline proposal. This group consists of the wildlife whose habitats and lives would be threatened, and most Aboriginal peoples whose territories would be interrupted. It also includes many conservation groups that want to preserve BC's natural environment, such as Eco-Justice, and many fishing and tourism companies that could lose profit if an oil spill were to occur. The last group of stakeholders consists of those that have either mixed opinions on the project or who are undecided. The BC government fits in this group, as our Premier Christy Clark has recently put forth a set of demands to Alberta and Enbridge that must be met before she will agree to the pipeline. These demands surround the environment, economical, and Aboriginal issues that I mentioned earlier. If they are met, the pipeline could very much become a reality. The people that own the land the pipeline will cross also fit here, as some are for the project due to possible economic gain, and some are against it due to environmental destruction. And last but certainly not least, the citizens of BC and Alberta fit into this category, as they all have mixed opinions as well. Those that support it are mostly concerned with the possible economic benefit they could receive from the pipeline's construction. And those that are against it are mostly concerned with the damage the pipeline could do with BC's natural environment. So, will the Enbridge Northern Gateway pipeline proposal be approved? Only time will tell. And there's my bibliography. So thank you very much, guys, for listening, and I really hope you learned something new about the pipeline proposal.